here we go. Welcome to the 59th episode of You Had Me at Halo, where we always discuss one of gaming's most storied franchises. Today's discussions should be unreal. Our mission for today is going to be to explore the rumors, speculation, and try to color them with some of the facts that we do know. But before we get into it, let's go ahead and meet today's Spartan cast, a team who rarely has issues with their tools. First up, we have Spartan Jesse, aka Mr. Down Cabeza. How's it going, Mr. Jesse?
I don't like that you know that about me, but thank you. How's everyone doing? I've been trying to play Overwatch, and I haven't been able to get in a single match. It's been a great week.
Yeah, so that's we definitely won't have. Has anybody even had a chance to play Overwatch? So.
Pre-drag is the only one who's been able to get in.
Pre-drag's played enough matches that he's gotten a rank now.
Apparently on PC, you can just change it to Asian. You instantly get in. That's what I heard recently.
I've tried Asia. I've tried. So if your account is borked with the whole merge thing still being in process, doesn't work anyways.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll move on. That's everything. That's all our updates on Overwatch.
Halo didn't launch like this.
It did not. No, it did not.
I was just thinking about that. I was like, well, something launched a little
bit. This one.
It's a Blizzard curse. It is like Diablo 3, same. They get hammered by different countries. Yeah, just nonstop.
And the DDoS.
And I agree, more. They've been great. Red Dead Redemption 2 on PC, one of the best games ever made. Plays so much better than it does on a controller on console.
Okay. Well, thanks for letting me know.
Look, I'm going to heal the world and bring it together. I've got one of the Kylie Jenner, Kendall Jenner, whoever she is, Pepsi's. Yeah, no, it's Pepsi.
Huh. All right.
I'm bringing everyone together.
Next up, we got Spartan Aarsal, aka Mr. Soulblazerz. So, how you doing today, man?
Good. I'm still pretty sick. So I'll be muting myself like as it goes through, when you'll see me just like cough and
copycat.
Like,
I was sick first.
Like that, basically throughout the stream. But no, I'm good. I'm glad to be here because I think it's been 3 weeks, right, since our last episode.
Yeah.
And we are going to take a little longer break next time too, for all the timing of everything.
Yep.
Yeah, we got to time things out. Yeah, it feels like a lot of us have been going through sicknesses. Jesse with the COVID, you got sick. I feel like I'm coming down.
Well, he went to Florida, so it's probably
COVID. It's probably COVID.
Yeah.
He was in Florida. That's what we give people.
I did the rapid test, comes negative, but the rapid test apparently is not the best.
Bring your money and take our COVID.
We're kind of running like 343's netcode right now. All right, so next up we got Spartan Austin, aka Mr. AustinFordGames. How you doing, man?
I'm here, my dudes. It has been an interesting few weeks. I just want to play video games, man, and it's like none of them fucking work right now. So it's great.
Get Red Dead Redemption 2 on your PC. Oh my god, that game!
One of the best ever. No, the first 2/3 of it are legendary.
Okay. I never got past the 10 hours. I just couldn't deal with the controls on the
on a console, it's rough, especially 30 FPS. But on PC,
never played.
Yep. Yeah, I didn't feel like I felt like that was the most overrated game of 2018. But anyways, we won't get into that one. So finally, it's your host, Spartan 8, aka OneBadMutha. And just like I just said a few minutes ago, if I might disappear here and there throughout the show. We'll see how this goes. We're all kind of
bring your do you have like a lapel mic or something, or maybe you can just turn your headset mic on and then we can just keep talking to you while you're in the bathroom.
That would just be awesome. That would just be fitting, but anyways, let's get into it, guys. There's going to be a lot to talk about. We might spend a lot of time on really one subject because there's a lot of angles to what's going on. So early in the week, or actually was it over the weekend?
Can we touch on the lighter stuff first? The stuff that
we want to do that
need time on. Yeah.
All right, let's go through that fast.
Aarsal was at HCS Orlando.
That's where he got sick.
The timestamp. Yes, I was. And yeah, it'd be fun to kind of check on this first because it came before technically all this stuff. But yeah, I'll just
look at this Twitter thread.
my experiences. Yeah, so my first day there, I was really excited. I did a quick Twitter thread. I told myself I'd update it and keep taking pictures, but I just got absorbed at the event itself. But
You
have
got
guys,
absorbed by all the COVID around you.
have you guys been to a gaming event before? Like,
Yeah, I
No, it's not-
participated in the Halo 4 World Championship.
nice.
Oh,
Didn't get very far. I got my ass kicked by like a
Yeah,
12-year-old
so-
or whatever. But
Okay, this was I went to the wrong convention at first, and I walk in and I'm like, there is no way this is a Halo convention. No way at all. What is going on? Turns out this giant convention center has a north and a south side, and the north side is another 20-minute walk away. After I already walked 20 minutes south, covered in sweat because it's like 100 outside. But to the actual convention, so before this, the only other gaming convention I'd been in was I went to a League of Legends finals once. It was in Detroit. I figured, what the hell? I haven't been to Caesar Arena yet, so I went to it. A lot of fun. But that was like a traditional sporting event where, like, you're sitting in the crowd and you have your designated seat and you're there just to spectate. What was super cool about this Orlando event, and I'm guessing Halo events in general, is that they're more conferences, less stadium events. So you get there, you can walk around, you can check out various areas. There's a main stage where people are watching that. There's side stages, people watching the other games. There's an open stage for people doing like teams that just want to come and compete. You can be any team. You sign up, you show up, and you compete, and you just make it as far as you can. Giant warthog in the center, booths, that kind of stuff. Like, overall, it was a really fun time. And the finals, I'm not sure if did any of you guys watch online the games. Well, the finals had Optic playing, Optic Gaming, and holy crap, that crowd is something else. They just go off. It was amazing being there live, but I could tell that people thought it was a little obnoxious on the stream. But sorry. Overall, it was a really fun event. I got this hat from there. It's a really, really cool hat. I definitely made sure to pick it up. But so to bring it back into our usual Halo talk. So how like you have Halo discourse online, right? Or us in the podcast or whatnot. And then people bring up various issues or problems they had, right? Online, it's so much easier for me to kind of dismiss them or be like, yeah, sure, I get you have this issue, but like, how sure am I that you're here to actually, want the game to be better? Or if you're here just to riff on 343 and Halo, right? Because we've all done online communications. It's very obviously not. It's very mixed. The cool part was attending this event was like everyone there was there for Halo. So even though I heard a lot of complaints and a lot of problems, a lot of issues, I took it more seriously because I'm like, yeah, these guys are still big fans. Exactly, they still care and they want the game to be better. So I'm not. Their complaints aren't coming in one year out the rest, right? It's actually like these guys want things to be better, and it made it seem a lot more real. A lot of the issues, a lot of the complaints, blah blah blah, in that perspective. But overall, like I went there and I'm thinking like, it's a dead game. It was a very seriously, it was a very popular event, especially the last day, the finals. People were screaming, every seat was taken. People were standing up, watching on the sides. It was an amazing time. Yeah,
no, that's awesome. Thanks,
and it gave a really cool bunch of drops.
Yeah,
Thank you, Twitch.
And what's interesting is now they're finally doing it the next event that if you attend, you get the drops just automatically. Because right now everyone had to attend and go home and have to keep their stream on to make sure they got it. I do that on Sunday night.
Oh yeah. No, it's and that is the one thing. Like this sandbox, I do think it will continue to age well from a competitive standpoint. Just the dynamics of it, and I think anybody that's played arena shooters, played Halo for the years, like I think that this thing, the 4v4 aspect of this game is going to hold up, right?
Yeah,
like just 100%. The way everything balances out and just the use of the equipment and the skill gaps and everything, and it does make like it's the funny thing though. So it's kind of like, I don't know if any of you guys are like this as kids or if you guys are like big sports fans growing up. I was, your team wins a big game, Pistons would win a big game in the playoffs. I'd go out there and start pretending like I'm one of the players. That's like, it's kind of the same thing a little bit. I mean, except I don't have to worry about blowing up my back or shredding an ankle when I go out to play Halo after.
It's a very real thing. Yeah.
Yeah, you watch these guys and you're like, oh man, like maybe if I practice, I could pull that move off and stuff.
Right.
First thing I did was I went home and I started playing the game, and right away I could tell I'm like, man, I feel like everyone just got a little bit better, like the days or two after this tournament.
What are you gonna say, Austin? Jump in there, man.
No. I was just agreeing. It's very much so a real thing. Like nothing's cooler than seeing like pro game players, like any pro gamer, for any game, whether it's Halo or League of Legends or anybody, just absolutely dominate, like really show off why they're the ones up on that main stage. And that energy is incredibly infectious. I've never gone to a Halo event that was specifically for like HCS Halo. I've always gone to like RTX and stuff like that, and they've always had
cool.
presences there. But like even that absolutely goes wild, and I think you almost get a different experience with that, because you have people that don't watch competitive Halo that are like, oh my god, this is infectious, this is awesome, like everyone's freaking out, this is so cool. And I have to imagine that Orlando was just an absolute blast, man.
I mean, the nice thing about Halo is like a lot of competitive games. I mean, I watch a fair bit of esports here and there, and a lot of games are difficult to just drop in and drop out watch wise, because it's like, hey, some games don't spectate well. Overwatch, I always thought didn't spectate well for the pro scene for whatever reason, the way the abilities are done, blah blah blah. CS:GO, you're just like, how do they know everyone? How do they know what they all are? Like, can they see what I can see, which they're behind the walls? But Halo it's a very easy game to spectate, and I feel like that they really helps them out. I know viewership wise, it's not the best compared to anything else, but them breaking 100K at this tournament, yes, Optic helped for sure, but like that's more views, or that's almost as many views as their first major tournament had, when Halo Infinite had like a lot of hype going into it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, so that's the thing, and like the thing that tells me that I'm wrong about Halo these days, which is like people love the competitive scene in Halo, and they'll always be around. Like people that don't really even play Halo much anymore will always want to watch competitive Halo, because it's exciting no matter which game it's in. It's always really cool to see. There were periods during like Reach and like Halo 4 that I was like, take it or leave it, but basically for the rest of that 21 almost years now, it's just been super cool to watch people that are just godly at this game whoop other gods.
Exactly. Infinite focus on readability a lot, right? We all know this. We all talked about it when the game came out, and it really shows when you watch the competitive scene, where like even a great explosion will come on a mixed explosion and it'll immediately disappear in like 0.5.
Well, and they did a lot here with the spectating anyway. This seems to be a unique build of Halo Infinite that like displays team names in games. It does a way better job of providing that sort of spectator experience. It even seemed like latency, which it seems like every Halo tournament for the last 5 or 6 years has had a real latency problem. Halo 5 introduced like the spectating mode in general. The spectating seemed to be way cleaner. It didn't seem like people were hitting shots where like your reticle's here and the dude's like way over here. It was just a way cleaner event, and
it's even more cleaner compared to their old stuff.
100%.
Like this tournament compared to say Riley had way fewer crashes, way fewer issues. Like you can tell they're still working on these builds. But sorry, you're saying Tashi?
Yeah, Tashi, buddy of mine from a decade ago or so,
and head of esports for 343.
Yeah. If people aren't familiar, Tashi's head of esports over there at 343. Got on Twitter and announced a bunch of changes.
to
Worlds.
That blew my
which
mind.
is crazy soon to make those changes. And it's not something I'm not super in tune with HCS these days, but like all of the pro players that I saw responding to Tashi about it were stoked about the changes, which basically just lets third place teams continue to compete off of main stage, but still it's not eliminating third and fourth place teams anymore.
Like Worlds is of course the next major tournament's happening in like 2 weeks or so, and they already had the bracket set up and everything set up, but just like a few days ago people brought up, they're like, hey, listen, like these teams get eliminated and they get third and fourth get eliminated, they have very little chances to play, that kind of thing. And then within like a day Tashi and his team went and changed. Honestly, the speed in which they changed that still blows my mind, because that is not an easy thing to do.
You have to imagine that they were probably talking about it already.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Admittingly, it does mean less show matches, which I'll be honest, some of the most fun I had there was the Halo 3 throwback match. It was just, everyone was just having fun, right? People weren't taking it seriously, and Walshy is hilarious. So
now, a lot of these guys that have been around for a long time are just super good with their smack talk. They're great to watch. It's it's super cool. Worlds is going to be the first time HCS has ever done a 4-day long event. So if you have the opportunity during that 4-day span, I can't even remember when that is. I want to say that's in November.
20th
Then like
to
definitely check it
24th
out.
this month.
Of
release.
October.
Yeah, it's about to come.
That's
yeah.
so soon, man.
So
Jeez.
soon, and this is leading right into it. There were a lot of cool stories in this event, like teams that climbed up that weren't supposed to, rivalries that were formed, all the things like that. And it's really cool leading into it. I've never really been into sports, like physical sports, I should say. I've only ever really been into, say, Dota 2, which is always insanely hype when the tournaments go, just because they're playing. For
I get that growing up in Toronto because all the teams there are terrible.
Windsor, okay, which Detroit does not make much better. So I'll.
Yeah, Detroit sports these days, man.
Detroit's is even worse.
The Lions season's over, and it hasn't even gotten cold yet. But keep going.
And they're one of the best scoring teams in the league, and it doesn't matter.
I won't hijack the show with sports, but
like,
yeah, keep going.
I hear what you're saying. So like the drama around esports, especially for a game like Halo, is just like
like
I love it so much.
Right? It's like teams that hate each other. Characters that are like, for example, in this one there was someone
like players get taken off of teams and traded.
A Cloud9 player got traded for another team, and that team, Cloud9 beat that team, and it was like finally, like redemption match they call it.
You love to see it, man. It's so cool. It's pro wrestling is all it is, and it's awesome.
No, definitely. Awesome, but yeah, Worlds is coming up really soon. It's gonna be a really good time. If the leaked drops are true, we're gonna get some really cool looking armor. There's like this black set piece,
diamond coating.
Yeah. Oh man. So definitely keep an eye out for that, guys, for sure. And I don't want to hog up the entire channel on the competitive talk, but even if you don't play Halo competitively, these matches are honestly fun to watch. Give it a shot one day.
Yeah. I'd like to just very quickly. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
No, go ahead.
I think it's worth us mentioning the world premiere that we got at HCS Orlando, which some people had expectations set fairly high for it. I'll be honest, myself included there, but it was a remake of the Pitt from Halo 3.
The Forge map.
Yeah. Forge made remake of the Pitt, and like some interesting changes and stuff made to it, but for the most part it was the Pitt. I was personally pretty let down by this. Not because it was a Forge remake, not because it was the Pitt, but because it was a single Forge remake and it was just the Pitt. And we still really don't have a solid date for when this is even going to be in the game yet.
Yeah,
which all just felt really weird. Somebody on Twitter from 343 eventually said that it had been worked on for 6 to 8 weeks leading up to the event to be revealed. I personally feel like we've seen way more appealing maps, visually speaking, in the game from community members and from 343 themselves thus far. I was pretty bummed out by how it looks right now. I dig sort of the like cyberpunky sort of vaporwave aesthetic that it has going on. But I'd love to hear from you guys as well. Like what y'all were kind of feeling as far as 343 using this as a way to get more viewers to watch by calling it a world premiere.
Yeah, so I guess I'll step in on that because I didn't feel as emotional about it because I think we knew it was going to be Forge, and that nothing was going to come out before Forge
releases.
Ready.
Yeah,
at least that was my expectation. So
but Michael Shore said it in the Sacred Icon Discord that straight up, like, we can't put Forge content in the game until we can call those API, and the API isn't going to be in the game until Forge is in the game.
So I think my expectations were tempered going into that, but I also feel like the messaging on that was a little off because I think when you call something a world premiere and you do hype it up, and I understand they want to drive people to the event, I think you do have to try to give them a little bit more, and maybe they did and they couldn't get there, but I do feel like the build up versus what they landed wasn't there, especially. And this is not, I mean, this is just kind of a victim of the circumstance as well, is if that was the first time we ever saw something in Forge, we would have been like, oh, wow, like you can make some really, really impressive stuff. But the thing is, we see impressive leaks like every day, and that's the issue, I think, right now is like we've been seeing cool stuff and, not just maps, but, game types, and maybe this is a good transition. But we've been seeing really cool Forge things already, and so this just felt like it looks nice. Now, I would say that I feel like this aesthetic, I like the coloring and everything. I feel like it loses a little bit of the Pitt identity a little bit, so I would like a different color. But whatever, that's just my personal opinion. It still looks nice. Like I could see this applied to something else, and liking it, but I just think that based on all the information we've already got about Forge, the reveals we got, the leaks that we've had, this wasn't enough. They probably needed at least a couple of remakes if they're going to do something like that, right? I mean, two is still would have been light, but I would have been like, okay, that would have been better, right? So that's probably my biggest issue, is just the expectations they set before they delivered it. Other than that, I think it looks nice. I like purple, I guess. I'm like Nick. I like purple. So it's like in purple is kind of a color. I guess it was used in Halo 5 a lot, but it wasn't. I don't think we've seen a lot of it in Infinite, so it was kind of refreshing to see that color scheme come back. So I did like the way it looked, but I just felt like it didn't land the way I think most people's expectations.
I think a lot of people are used to older like map packs and getting a bunch of things at once, and I just don't think they're interested in that. I think they want the absolute best quality they can make. And if having in total 3 for the winter update, like having the Pit and then the ones they've already talked about, if they have those ready and good to go, and they think they're as good as the other ones, like they're really focused more on quality than quantity, knowing that quantity will come from the community with Forge. So
and
on their end, I think they definitely want, this is the best we can do. We're not putting something out until we're at a level where we feel comfortable. And
to clarify, quality doesn't mean visual quality for a map like this. You know what I mean? Because they announced that this map is joining the ranked rotation in the next season, which means this map needs to be ranked ready, which means it needs to be play tested the crap out of, which means every little ramp, every little thing, everything needs to kind of be, like focused on, perfected already. After the few show matches they had people going, hey, so this part doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense. Work on this, work on that. You know what I mean? So in that aspect, community maps can look as pretty and as beautiful as ever, but they're never going to be as like blocked out or as tested as maps like these. That being said, I do hope they still touch up on the visuals. There's a giant work in progress in the trailer. I'm hoping that means they'll still work on the visuals, because not that I think it looks bad, but that I think it looks sometimes a little too not generic, but like hard to tell which parts exactly. Sterile in a way. Like it needs a little bit more
can't make babies.
Yes. Well,
in terms of
the old Pit had that, right? The old Pit had this really lived-in feeling, and that was the thing that's missing to me. I agree with you. So maybe part of it might be the color scheme, but the other part is just that it looks too clean.
Yeah,
too
like it looks like a Forge map when I don't think it needs to look like a Forge map.
Right.
Not with Halo Infinite's Forge. No.
I mean, I think like aesthetically, if they are going for like my interpretation of it being like this vaporwave kind of thing, I get it. They did the Pit in Halo 3. They did Pitfall, I think is what they called it in 4. And like it was even more like broken down and decayed and everything like that. So like this being a nice juxtaposition as far as aesthetics go makes sense to me. But like if there was a Forge map that we've seen so far, either from the public or from like leak builds, that looks like a Forge map, like you would compare to Halo 5, this is unfortunately it right now.
Yep.
Well,
So
it's probably the simple thing of getting the blocking done, and then the rest are the graphics. Because I mean, that's what John said. The beginning like 40 hours of the one that they showed off of his was getting it all laid out, and then he did like over 60 hours of getting all those little touches in for the look of it. So
so talking about the actual reveal itself, I am definitely a bit of the opposite boat. As you guys obviously kind of make sense though, because like there's a difference between being online and watching and waiting for a world premiere, waking up early and just going there anyways and being like, hey, it's showing up on the stage, right? But also one thing that really helped me was the moment they got that tweet saying world premiere, I think like within like 30 minutes I saw Tashi's tweets where he's like, hey guys, it's not a new game mode, it's not a cosmetic. And then right away I'm like, oh, so it's a Forge map. Okay, like there's literally nothing else.
No, like we knew, like I don't think we knew definitively, but like, and some of it again is expectation not set by 343, not their fault, but like leakers that are like prolific or you know what I'm trying to say, that get leaks right a lot. I totally lost the word.
They kind of screwed up a bit,
like
right?
some people said that the Narrows thing was proven to be fake.
Okay.
Some people said that there are references currently in the game files that reference forged remakes of a couple of Halo 3 maps. So that's like my fault.
I did expect more than one. I'll be honest.
Right.
I did. I'm like, okay, they're gonna play maybe a best of 3 on, or best of 2, let's say on you know, like another map. That'd be cool. The fact that it was just Pitt was a little disappointing. I'll be honest though, just like the initial trailer when they showed it was like a hype montage of the Halo 3 Pitt replays, and it was super cool. And the very end of that trailer, there's like this little smidge of like switch over to like the Forge map. The moment that does, the crowd went crazy. We're just like, oh, like
absolutely.
We all knew it was coming, but
like Jesse said though, like if on November 8th we get the Pitt, and then I can't even remember the names of the other two. If they're like solid maps, then like three, you know, new maps. I'd say new maps.
As long as they have a playlist for community forge stuff.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I mean, they need to work it into every playlist, in my opinion. Maybe not ranked. Maybe you only put the Pit in ranked. But anyway, as long as they're good maps, then like 3 like brand new, here's Forge maps. That's solid. I think.
And 3 arena maps at that, by the way. A lot of people complain that they came out of 1 arena, so they only play arena, so they don't get the map, blah, blah, blah. 3 arena maps is interesting. I think Argyle was one. I forget the other one. But the other point regarding the views, the problem was, like, even when this so-called world premiere was happening, the views were only at like 25, 30K. And then the rest of the event, it was at 60, 70, and ended up with like 111. Right? So that's why I kind of think like views-wise, it wasn't really that big of a deal because it really didn't bring that many people in for their so-called world premiere. And the actual showcase match itself was a blast to watch. So again, there's a difference, I guess, being there, everyone cracking up, Walshy going off on them going off on Walshy. I feel like it was a really cool event for the people there, but I could 100% see how for people folks just watching online, like expecting a fair bit more from a so-called world premiere. I definitely get that. Yeah.
So we'll kind of move on from there, but you know, you brought up some good points. So you know, like and this is something too we hear it a lot online, and I think there's a lot of lack of understanding in terms of like the maps that go into playlist. A lot of the development is the testing, you know, especially it's a new sandbox. So you know, taking these maps one for one, the way they were laid out previously may not work with the new, with the sprint, slide, clamber, you know, just the little differences, that are in this sandbox versus previous ones. So, but you know, kind of moving on.
Sorry, just really quick about that part. It's not even like you can say that, but there's also even more to it. If a match is coming into ranked, so one thing these pros are, they're very finicky. By that, what I mean is right now at the event itself, there was no mangler use, no sword use. So even though the sword is on the map, it's right there, it's in Catalyst, it's in Recharge, they're literally shooting over the sword at someone across the map, but they refuse to pick it up. So like these pros are already kind of really finicky with weapons they consider too OP or too hard to balance, whatnot, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, yeah, you got to kind of be careful when this is the crowd that you're dealing with when it comes to these ranked maps. You know what I mean? So it's even more work for these guys.
Before we transition, can I take over the show for 1 minute?
You could do it.
So I just set up our live stream November 5th for Extra Life. And I set a donation goal of $250. And 20 minutes later, it was reached by someone on our forums, just donated 250.
Wait, this is this year?
Yeah, he literally I just made this, and he just already hit the donation goal. So thank you very much. I just felt that donation very much deserved being called out.
Yeah,
the moment, because I got an email saying, "Hey, you've reached your goal for the year." And I'm like, "What the fuck? I just made that a half an hour ago." So
we had some awesome people in the community. So
we'll play a lot of Halo on November 5th, I'm sure. Join us.
We did have an old super chat too, by the way. Sorry, we didn't.
From Tommy.
Let's jump into our super chats real quick before we move on.
Yeah. It's just the one from Sonia before we went live. It's Unreal with a capital U. It's almost 2023. How about the Unreal with a capital U changes for HCS World Cup? Unreal capital U. I tell you, brackets. Did I mention it's Unreal capital U?
Yeah, we're gonna get into some Unreal discussions for sure. One more smaller thing that we'll just touch on. So obviously we just talked about the competitive, then we also talked about Forge, which hopefully is going to open up that whole other side of the game, right? The social aspect, which has been, something that, I think Infinite's really been needing.
Yeah, 100%.
To do a lot more with, right? And so we did get a little bit more of a Forge reveal. I think we're gonna spend more time on Forge when we get through all the shows. But is there anything you guys wanted to really quickly touch on from the lighting reveal that they just did?
I'm super stoked about baking light, being able to bake lighting in a way that you can make maps truly dark. The idea of playing Infection whenever that eventually comes to the game on a map that is like virtually pitch black, if not pitch black with like a couple little spotlights here and there, is going to be like ridiculously fun. I'm such a baby. I don't play horror games because I'm a crybaby. I cannot wait to just like shit my pants playing Infection.
And not just Infection, in general, the potential for horror, like little mini horror games, is really high. Halo's always had a bit of a horror feel to it when it needs it to, or when it wants it to.
Yeah.
With like legit pitch black. Give your character a flashlight and be like, go. Set the ambient noise to creepy, menacing. Like there's just so much they can do.
Well, and John mentioned it too. He was, he was on our last podcast and talked about, as somebody who's on the Forge Council, the difference the lighting makes, right? And he said that really, that's where you're going to see like just a giant difference between what looks like a Forge map and why they're going to start looking like developer maps. And so they delved into that a little bit. I also agree with you that just some of the gameplay possibilities just with the lighting alone is going to be interesting, right? Because it'll be
interesting to see if that's something that you can tie to the scripting. Like if you can implement like a time of day to your multiplayer map. I wouldn't get my hopes up too high because the lighting has to bake every time you change the lighting.
Right.
But like the potential, the possibilities that are there, very exciting.
Not even counting pitch. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I'm saying not even counting pitch black. Like they later in the video they show off just nighttime on like a ring environment, and it was like significantly darker than the campaign's nighttime, and it looked really good. It was still lit up with the giant stars and everything in the sky, but it wasn't like, are we sure this isn't like day, but like a little darker on day, like that it was in the game? It was really cool.
Yeah, and with equipment, that you can that can play into that as well, right? So, and I think one of the modes coming up next season or in the winter update is going to actually take advantage of that. So
you could probably like script equipment, right, or mess with equipment settings. I wonder if you could.
Yeah, people have been messing up them a lot.
You think you could set up an equipment that's just like a flashlight, or like
I'm sure you could. You can make completely custom equipment items.
That's cool.
It's not like this is a grappling hook base, so it functions like a grappling hook, but it does something different. Like they have shown off that you can, or not 343 yet, really, but the community members have shown off that just like you can make custom power ups, you can make custom equipment items.
Guys, get this.
Unreal.
Infection. Let's hypothetical. Season 4. All the non-infected, the guns have flashlights on them, and it's pitch dark out there.
That'd be so
cool.
That's what I'm saying.
The flood can see you from.
I mean, the
from
first time I boot up a match and I see somebody like pull out an energy sword and it like grows out in the dark, I'm gonna that is something that I've kind of always wanted without really realizing I wanted. Like that is so cool.
You've always wanted one that glows in the dark. Again.
And they showed off I think another thing I took off from the video was how professional everything looked. They showed off the heat mapping, and I'm like, dude, this is a community Forge tool. Like it literally looks like the Unreal demo. The UE5 demo we had a few days ago, a few weeks ago. It looks like this.
I was just talking to somebody about that yesterday, and this might get into some of the Unreal talk that we'll get into.
Oh yeah, sorry,
but basically, the basically what you're looking at with Forge, it is just like a GUI. It is just like it is giving you access to the Slipspace engine. It's just a high level, more streamlined access for gamers, than what the developers get. But it is like the Slipspace engine, and it is an interface essentially.
Yeah.
So a lot of it just depends on what they decide to kind of build into that. But it feels like the possibilities for them to continue to expand on it are infinite. So
they showed up the audio, how you could like queue it up, like set up audio spaces for the audio to play from this direction and that direction. There's some really cool. And these days, everyone has spatial sound, right? Everyone has headphones. Headphones really. No one really has the full 5.2.2 setup, but the headphones everyone has. Right?
So you're the flood, and your flood makes a sound while you're running, but you can see the guys from far away, right? But when you get close, they'll be able to hear you. So yeah, I mean,
it's just it's.
I mean, Jesse played it up on screen earlier, but the Forge map that they showed off, that's like the camping scene, where there are like god rays coming through the trees from an artificial moon that's not there. It's just like a dot that someone threw up in the sky and textured to look like a moon. It's so cool,
and those trees were just scaled up to that size. Like the simple just scaling. I can never get over just how simple something that simple makes such a big difference.
The only thing that I wish this Forge had was like a true terrain editor. The way that they're handling terrain editing is super cool. It's a very creative way to get around not having it. But like, man, regardless, it looks so cool.
I mean, hey, never say never, right? I mean, honestly, I know I read so many takes this week or the last week of how like they should just move on, which we'll get to. They should just move on from Infinite and go on something else. And I'm like, nah, dude, just imagine a Forge like this with continuous updates on things the team wants to do that are cool, right? Like imagine like eventually next year after getting proper Covenant AI in there. Right? Like stuff like that. Like it's possible.
I think we got an interesting, it may or may not be pulled, but I think that we got an interesting question about something like this for the questions portion that I'd love to hear you flesh out that thought if we get to that.
Yeah, we're gonna have to get into this. Okay, so let's do that.
Yeah, we're almost half an hour or so in.
Yeah.
Guys, you know it'd be unreal as if Halo's engine changed.
All right, let's break this down. Do you want to read it or you want me to read it? Who likes to read?
I can read it. Are we going to jump into what are we jumping into first?
The Windows Central.
All right, so let's set up the story. So basically, Sean W came out with a rumor, mentioned a few things. Apparently, it was a combination of some things he heard about the engine, some things that he just speculated on, which were completely wrong because Bobby Kotick can't go to a board that's not going to exist. But we won't get into like that those things. But so originally, Jez came out and he says all this is wrong, and then he comes back.
So
go ahead.
I think a watered down version of this. Not that you're not doing a great job of explaining sort of like the series of events. But like what Jez wrote in his article on windowscentral.com, if you haven't seen that already, please go take a look at it. Is what we need to know. Jesse has it up on screen, but it's a new report from YouTuber Sean W suggests that Halo Infinite's Battle Royale codenamed Tatanka is switching to Unreal Engine and perhaps even Halo itself. Beyond that, we revealed exclusively earlier this year that Tatanka is a Battle Royale light Halo game designed to appeal to a new audience. Since the departure of Bonnie Ross, many fans have been wondering what, if any, change in direction may be on its way for Microsoft's flagship shooter franchise. And we've been investigating Sean W's rumors for the past week and can tentatively corroborate some aspects of it. So like you were saying, Abe, Sean W did kind of go all over the place with his speculation on some of it, but Jez Corden has been able to corroborate some of those things that were talked about in Sean W's original video. The biggest things being that we know as recently as 3 months ago, Jez feels confident enough to say that he could basically confirm that as recent as 3 months ago, Certain Affinity was still using Slipspace for Tatanka. And I think that's kind of the biggest thing to keep in mind as we kind of talk about what it could mean for Halo Infinite to move over to Unreal, for a future iteration of Halo to move over to Unreal, is that as recent as 3 months ago, which is very, very recent in game development, it was still on the current Halo Infinite Slipspace engine. Yeah.
And, just to add a little bit more context to the story, that, 343 did prototype Halo within Unreal 4 during the development. So that's that's on record. That's no longer a rumor. Now the reasons why they didn't go with it is, there's conflicting reports on that. Obviously, the one that I think that's the most widely accepted is that it didn't feel like Halo. They tried to get the feel of it, the timing, the animations to match, and then they said it still didn't feel like Halo. Now I've been told by others that really the biggest issue was the open world. So like that, I think that was really the backbreaker with Unreal 4, is because 343 definitely from a design aspect wanted to go with an open world. Unreal 4, it was bad with open worlds because of the partition system. I don't fully understand game development, but that was kind of the gist of what I was told, that was kind of the backbreaker on it. And because Unreal 5 has come a long way with fixing that, it is I think right now the one thing to kind of think about is it is something that is much more feasible than it was at that time. Whether or not these rumors are true, the thing I would not hold on to is, well, they tried it and it didn't work, because there is some differences between then and now. They didn't know at that time, from what I understand at the time, they didn't know that Unreal 5 was going to be much better in the open world situation. They didn't know what the features of Unreal 5 at that time were going to be. So so now that they have this, it is normal for studios to prototype different things and try out different things. We also know that certain affinity is going to be a big part of Halo going forward. They've hired up to 100 people already that are just going to be dedicated to Halo. That's a lot of people, for a support studio.
Yeah,
they have a lot of Unreal experience in that studio. A lot of the job listings are Unreal, but that's kind of normal in the industry anyways. It is also worth mentioning that, from what I understand, a lot of the actual coding, the language is very similar between
what
Slipspace
is
and
Unreal written in language-wise?
C++.
C++. Do we know what Blam is written in?
C++.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay,
yeah,
same language.
So they speak the same language. From what I was told, is like there is still differences, and this is like part of like what was in Jez's reporting and Schreier's reporting last year. That the tool set, the tool set they use, the interface that they use to build in the commands is the area where that Slipspace is not up to par, I guess that you could say. Now, I don't know how much of that's changed since then, but that was the reports back then. That was some of the reports that Jez had. So all that stuff is relevant because, part of the other aspect of the reporting is that they struggled a lot because contractors took a lot of time to get up to speed. For anybody that's in technology, I think you can probably relate. If you're working with an interface that's a lot different than another interface, even if the two tools do similar things, there's going to be a learning curve there. And when you're on 18-month contracts, that's going to probably have a lot of impact. So these are some of the aspects and the reasons why I think they would even consider it. But before I keep talking about it, I want to get some of your guys' thoughts, kind of go around. Like, is there any other things? Well, first of all, when you heard this, kind of like, what was your initial thoughts? And kind of like, where are you guys right now on this? Do you want to? You're taking a deep breath there, Austin. You want to go first?
Yeah, I can. I wanted either Jesse or Soul to go. I feel like I've been dominating the conversation.
Yeah, let's do that. Jesse, you've been quiet, and I know you've been saving your voice after COVID. So,
no, I was just going through and producing and doing some stuff. But
okay.
For the most part, like with an engine thing, especially with a whole new group coming in of leadership, and even if it is like offshoots or different things, I don't think Halo Infinite is changing. Halo Infinite is built around Slipspace. It's built around Forge, which is built around Slipspace. But things down the line, if it's easier for them with so many of their, sister studios under Xbox and Bethesda being real good with Unreal, if they can get that to work, if they're doing different genres, if they want to try something else while they've got a team working on future Halo Infinite campaigns like the Endless, and then they want to work with other offshoot studios to try a Halo, RPG or different genres, whatever it ends up being. Unreal could be a heck of a lot easier for that than trying to make Slipspace work in a different genre. Unreal is going to have way more for those types of things already built in. So future proofing, trying to figure things out for possible sequels or spin-offs or things like that, I could 100% see them going with something like Unreal. Especially they've already been working with the Coalition, helping with them on stuff, and the Coalition are freaking wizards. Ninja Theory are wizards. Like, they've got a lot of support, just not even having to go to outside studios, just as part of the family. They've got a ton of support if they do anything in Unreal in the future.
Yeah, some good thoughts. Well, what about you, So? What
So in my
if I did bad thoughts, would you say, wow, those are some stupid thoughts?
Wow, Justin, you fucking
wouldn't.
idiot.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't think anyone would
No,
say
I
that.
mean, we did do the TV show, right? I mean, how many times did I roll my eyes when you guys were like, "Oh, it was cool"? I'm like, so. Anyways, keep going.
Anyone, when I first heard these thoughts, anyone, and I read some terrible takes thinking that they were going to switch Halo Infinite to Unreal. I literally heard takes where they're like, hey, they should Realm Reborn this game. Just take it all off, remake the whole thing in Unreal, and ship it out again.
You can't do that.
Oh,
You're not gonna do that.
God. First, this game's not dead. Let's just get that out of the way. Second off, are you dumb? But
Well, I mean, most people don't understand.
Yes.
Like, and honestly, I would not have.
If you're
I've
in an
been bugging
enthusiast
people.
gaming forum, right? Like, at least have a little bit of knowledge on something before jumping to conclusions, is my hope to it. But
Well, I think it's okay to make it come to ignorant conclusions, as long as you're willing to
learn. I agree.
listen and learn from people that do know what they're talking
But
about.
then that draws back to my previous point of Halo Discourse online right now is very much, are these guys for real, or are they just, God, 343 sucks and I gotta let this know? You know what I mean? It's hard to
there is like a whole
differentiate.
persona built around, like, 343 bad forever.
Yeah,
Bungie
seriously.
should come back to Halo, even though
Bungie
it
God.
like wouldn't be the same thing or at all.
It's not even the same Bungie, but anyways.
They had to learn Slipspace.
But to the
in
actual
Unreal.
engine talk itself, I feel like a cutting edge studio, which yes, I know a lot of people don't say, but 343 is.
How about a bleeding edge studio?
That's Ninja Theory. A cutting edge studio wouldn't be doing their jobs if they weren't checking every option, right? Unreal Engine 5 comes out. I have zero doubt that they have or are or planning to prototype it and check it out for the future, right? Of course they are. I mean, it makes sense that they should experiment with this. That being said, I think Epic had an amazing marketing team or something behind Unreal 5.
I don't know how it still works on anything besides a PlayStation 5. I was told that SSD was the only way that those demos could run.
Even besides that, Unreal 5 isn't this magical beast of an engine which has zero tech debt and is perfect for everything and is phenomenal and amazing, right?
Have you seen Tim Sweeney? That man is a sex machine. He could sell freaking
Like people
dirt
like
to a person living in the desert.
they see something like switching to Unreal UE5 and like, oh yes, this is amazing, this is awesome news. It's not necessarily always good news. You know what I mean? Like, you have to wait and see. Not every engine. Yes, I know technically all the feel of Halo is just the mathematics behind it, right? The logics, how does the timings on this and that, blah blah blah. Technically, you can replicate that on any engine for sure, right? I mean, given enough time and resources, it's not impossible. That being said, there's a reason why they've stuck with Blam essentially, or until now, various changes of it, and why Bungie's still using it, because it's not only that they know that it works, is that it works period for like the shooting and style that they want. I'm not saying you can't.
Well, I think to that point, Soul, it was something that I was going to say later, but I think you're
should be back and forth.
At least getting to it. Is obviously they were prototyping a few things when they were working on Infinite. Unreal Engine being one of them, Slipspace being one of them. The way that probably panned out in my mind, beyond partitioning being like a big problem with Unreal 4 in general, I think that it's the way that you come to a conclusion when you're prototyping in engines and trying to figure out which one is going to be the better option is like, how quickly are we iterating on this, and how much progress are we making versus the other thing at any given end of any sprint or at any check-in or whatever. Like, I'm sure that Unreal was actually probably going fairly well, but the engineers at 343 that had been there for a while that were helping to develop this engine were probably seeing faster iterative success in Blam, which became Unreal, or not Unreal, sorry, became Slipspace, it had to have just been even a slightly faster story of success there than what they were seeing with UE4. If UE4 was holding them back at all, and they were seeing a modicum of success in comparison in Slipspace, then yeah, they're going to continue with that. Why would they waste any more time doing that when they can then bring all of their engineers together to work on a thing?
That being said, no, okay.
Well, I was going to jump in there because I think there's a couple things. There's and I don't know if they are just like there's a few myths about and you brought it up. You brought it up so that you can replicate Halo in any engine, really, if you're going to take the time. So I was
How about RPG Maker?
I mean, well, whatever. Yeah, in Minecraft. No, but I was talking to somebody yesterday about this, and who's a developer with Unreal, and it basically was saying that yes, in Unreal there is templates, right? You have a third-person template, a first-person template, and the first-person template, if you were just to take that template and start using it, it won't feel like Halo. Like if you walk up to a corner, and the way that the edges will work with the game, with your character may be different than the way they do in the Blam engine or the way Halo's working now. But he said any aspect of that, if a developer knows where to look, you can go in there and you can rewrite that code, right? You can rewrite all of the physics that go with that, the like how much you float when you jump.
Unreal's compatibility with Havoc, which is the same physics engine that Halo's been running on since Halo 2.
You mentioned that,
like that's a super it is a small slice of a very large pie, but like that's a key thing. Is like what things work currently in the Slipspace engine that can be brought over to Unreal with as little pain as possible. I think that there
will Cortana have her badonkadonk?
Will them like titties jiggle?
Where are you going with this?
Probably too much,
or not? Like what the real e-boys are really out here looking for, guys.
There's enough rumour games that have been made in UE5. You can go find yourself some.
You can spend $2 on Steam and play any kind of game you want to play.
Not Nintendo anymore. Nintendo, no more boobies. What the heck? My goodness.
Come on, Nintendo.
It's why I'm never like completely dismissing these kind of rumors, because like if they decide for the future that hey, we want to move to UE5, then hey, go for it, right? If that's what they worked on, if that's what they came to the conclusion of.
It sounds like blasphemy for anyone to say like, oh, I trust 343. But like at the end of the day, they are the people that are in charge of the franchise, and like worst case scenario, they came out with a game like Infinite again, where I play it every once in a while instead of playing it more than every once in a while, right?
I mean, like they haven't missed gameplay wise, in my opinion, at least, right? Halo 5 was amazing. Halo 4 took some time to get there, but it was amazing after. Halo Infinite was great off the bat.
I'd say Halo 4 was a pretty big mess.
Well, it took him a few months, but at a certain point,
that's
Halo
another show. I'm with you, Austin. Halo 4, I don't like.
So,
but anyways,
I think the thing that I've been wanting to build towards, and the thing, it's funny. Like I was like, oh no, like Soul and Jesse should go first, and then like the whole time I was just like,
go. That's how I was like, go.
Here's what I think is happening. Okay, I'm gonna get into the weeds, my little conspiracy brain. We haven't gotten to flip that on in a while.
All right, speculation time. Let's go there. Let's go. What do we think what do we think makes sense and what doesn't make sense for the future of Halo?
I'm gonna probably go through this quickly. Certain Affinity is building a Halo thing in Unreal Engine 5. It is not Tatanka. Tatanka will continue development in Slipspace because it will release as a part of the Halo Infinite suite. Early 2024, late 2023 at best, with like compatibility with Forge. Halo Infinite will not move to UE5. That's hilarious.
God.
What will happen is that Halo Infinite will eventually stop seeing the kind of support that the community wants to see out of it. Not that it's really had it so far, but like quarterly seasons, like 343 wants it to get to, it will be supported similarly in a way that the Master Chief Collection was supported for the last couple of years. And while they're like kind of slowing down support on Infinite, slowing down, really maintaining their current pace, while they're maintaining that pace, CA puts out Tatanka, goes full on hands down or head down on this UE5 Halo spinoff, ODST2, let's call it, for ease of conversation. Certain Affinity is working on a Halo spinoff. It's in Unreal Engine 5. 343 is then working on a sequel to Infinite, full-fledged sequel to Infinite in Unreal Engine 5. With consistent but fairly petered out support for Infinite, similarly to the Master Chief Collection.
Full new multiplayer, everything?
Say again?
Full new multiplayer, everything for the sequel to Infinite?
For 343's sequel, like full-fledged sequel, yeah, 100%. Here's the thing, though. They landed so well with Infinite's gameplay loop in general. I don't think that we see another title in the Halo franchise, another like mainline title that diverges or like that separates itself as much as like Halo 4 did from 3, 5 to 4, Infinite to 5. I think that we kind of stay where we are. Some like iterative changes, but nothing as major as like 5 to Infinite was. I think that this is kind of the bubble that 343 keeps Halo in as far as gameplay goes. I think it is universally loved by Halo fans.
So what are these? Where are the years?
By Halo fans. So I think so. Austin, I'm going to jump in here because I agree with a
well,
lot.
I'm gonna answer Soul's fast question.
Okay.
Year like timeline for this.
Timeline
right?
wise, let's go exactly.
Tatanka's 2024 realistically.
Okay.
Certain Affinity's Unreal Engine spinoff they buys 343 time to put out a real game. 2026. Full on Halo sequel. 2027.
So no endless. No Halo Infinite.
That would be the endless. No
But not as
Infinite
an
campaign
expansion, as a
DLC or anything like that.
6 years, 5 years between Infinite and that. Yeah, I guess that's enough time to build a full.
But like, you know, you're getting MCC level at least support that entire time.
How many years of seasonality would you say? 23 and 24?
Through the end of 24.
Yeah.
So Austin, I agree with a lot of what you're saying, except there's some parts where I'm going like this, kind of diverging with some of the thoughts. Now, all of us here as Halo fans, as somebody who freaking loved the original trilogy, still my favorite all time, even though I put over 2,000 hours in Halo 5. There, bingo. You know, at the same time, and as much as I love the sandbox and the gameplay, and I don't really want them to change that, I also am, I think, realistic as a Halo fan to realize that as a Halo fan, that's why I love it. But me as a base is shrinking in terms of the whole pie over time. And I think, you know, there's always been this concern within the base that, hey, if Halo does a BR, they're going to split the base. And I'm like, here's the thing. The base is already split. The only thing is they're split to Fortnite, to Apex, to Call of Duty, Warzone.
To Valorant.
They're already split off to those other things. And I think this is one of those things where I look at the Halo universe and I even look at some of the things they've talked about in time, you know, the fact that even Pierre's come out and said, hey, you know, Halo can have multiple, we can have multiple games, right? We can have different things. And even Joe Staten said that.
It was like 343's reason for getting away from numbered entries anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, and Staten's even talked about, remember he said like the ODST experiment was one of his favorite things. I feel like they're setting the table right now to kind of tell us, you guys, Halo fans, you know, I agree with you, Austin. I think Infinite will continue to live on in conjunction with whatever they're going to do. They're not going to port this engine. I think Infinite will have somewhat of a support. I think Forge is going to be a big part of what keeps that thing going for forever, really in perpetuity. And I think this could be I think Infinite could be long-term what the competitive community plays Halo in for 10 years. I mean, honestly, it could be that, right? Because just because they are prototyping and doing other things now to branch out Halo, there's almost no reason to rebuild this wheel. Like I feel like
I'm going to tell you right now, Halo campaigns will not sell on their own. You have to have a multiplayer suite to sell Halo. Period.
Well, and this is where
baby.
This is where I'm gonna go, Austin, because I don't think the Halo fan, which I am, and I listen to all the other Halo fans who are a little bit more vitriolic than I am about it, but you know, like they don't want the change, right? You know, I even think about things like, if you're trying to reach the Fortnite crowd, they probably, if they pick up a game and there's not an ADS, they are going to get frustrated. The time to kill, all that stuff. I think Halo can go. I've wanted this for a while. I feel like 343. If you listen to the history, you listen to Josh Holmes talk about it. Throughout their entire existence, there's always been this creative infighting, and I know that was done with the best of intentions. They wanted new ideas in there. They've spent way too much time in the creative process, in the experimental process, and at the end of the day, it's just like I don't think you'll ever be able to make Halo something that's going to appeal to these like the modern, the new generations that didn't grow up with the nostalgia that we did, and still meet our expectations. And I think that it's best for Halo and for all of us, really, for them to have different sets of appeals within the universe. Halo, just like Star Wars, has a broad has a lot of lore. It's a broad universe. I mean, they're going to come out with 2 Star Wars games a year, apparently, at some point, in the future. I mean, none of those are going to play like each other, right? You can do similar things with Halo. I think they can experiment with Halo. They can create a single player campaign that's open world with RPG elements that will piss everybody who's an old school Halo fan off. But that might be the thing. If I look at all the top all the games with legs, they don't play like they're not Halo. They're not linear games. They're not even, smaller open world games. They are big games that are 80, 100 hours. And I think that's what the casual community wants.
You mean single player wise?
Yeah, single player wise. And I think that even for the Battle Royale, like they're going to have to basically say what's going to work for these crowds. I don't think they're going to be able to merge those. And I think that I just look at Infinite as this is for you Halo fans. We got this incredible Forge mode. You guys can do whatever the hell you want. And we're giving you more tools to continue to support your own game and build cool things and continue to keep this exciting for a long time.
The thing that would surprise me the most, not that it necessarily 100% pertains to exactly what we're talking about here, but you said it earlier, and I wanted to interrupt you then, but I'm doing it now. I would be incredibly surprised. Infinite might get campaign DLC. I'd be very surprised if that does end up happening still.
I would too.
I don't see a world where the next Halo campaign that we get that's not an Infinite expansion is open world. Don't see it happening.
You think they're going back to Corridor?
Yeah. I think that the open world was received as well as it possibly could have been, but there are a fair amount of weaknesses with it. Like lack of like environmental diversity is a thing that a lot of people point towards as being a weakness of Infinite's campaign. Not that can't be fixed, not that can't be addressed with an open world, but I think if the next campaign is going to be in a completely separate engine, that you do something that pulls a little bit more from like Halo 1 or 2 style campaigns, where it is still like massive spaces, or even Halo 5's, like just massive, beautiful spaces that are well designed, that offer a fun amount of like enemy variety and some way to bring in some more replayability other than difficulties and collectibles. But I'd be surprised if the next Halo campaign, unless it's a Infinite expansion, is open world.
See, I hear what you're saying, but I hear what also Pierre said, and he said multiple games. So I think you can have both. I think you could try different experimental things, and smaller things that are linear. Right?
A post-Elden Ring world is going to be, I think, a little different landscape-wise for a lot of games as they're developed right now. Because that game it's stupid. Like, God, you talk about legs? No game has legs like that.
I just went through the top 50 games yesterday again on what's on Xbox, and you look at it month after month. Every month we see Skyrim and Fallout 4 still there. We see 2 different Assassin's Creed games. The big open world games are still there. We saw Elden Ring is still there. We still see Red Dead Redemption and Grand Theft Auto is still there. You don't these other games. If you're not one of those types of things, it's almost. I don't want to say it's AA territory, but that's the kind of legs it has, right? Like if it's a game, if it's a linear, if it's something you're going to beat in 10 to 15 hours, people might love it. but unless it has a story that just absolutely resonates.
You're literally talking about ODST right now, like an open world hub world that has linear missions, that's smaller, more bite sized than like Infinite was.
Yeah, I could see both. I honestly could see both go. But I do think here's the exciting thing to me, though. And regardless of what they do, this is all speculation. Austin and I could be very, very wrong. We might all be very wrong, right? Like this.
Oh, I'm sure that I'm completely off the mark right now.
I think we're throwing out what we want or what we think is best for.
So I guess I'll jump in then. I'm gonna stick. I know there've been a lot of changes, management wise, leadership wise, a lot of differences happening at 343 from when they said what they did before. I still think they're gonna use Infinite as a base to jump off with expansions, just because instead of taking 5 years, 6 years to develop a game, you can get games out in 3. The Endless, I do think is still an Infinite expansion. And I know this sounds super naive and hopeful, but I'm hoping 2024, 2025 at the latest for the game. The game Infinite came out 21. The campaign team is clearly just working on something, right? They're not going to be working on nothing. And by the time, the main game is into the campaign, into the asset stage, the pre-production design team is working on something else, right? I don't think they'd scrap all of that to work on something brand new this soon to a release, because we're now approaching 1 year out of Halo Infinite. It had the year delay before that too. Campaign's been out and been untouched, right? That team is clearly working on something. We just don't know what. Are they helping with Tatanka? Are they helping with maps? I doubt it. I feel like the map team is probably pretty different. Are they helping with Forge? I could definitely see that. But overall, I'm not convinced they're moving to UE5, not 343. I'm not convinced they're moving to UE5. I think UE5 has its own slew of issues and problems that are still there for various developers. There was this long Reddit post by a developer, and obviously, I don't think they're happy working on UE5, which is why they were very
always have to take it with a grain of salt, right?
You can't do this, you can't do that. It's super slow, and this, and so and so.
It sounds like a person that's just fed up with whatever. But and UE5 isn't one thing we need to throw out there. UE5 is not mature today either. It is still a work in progress that does have some of its own spaghetti code that needs to be ironed out. But that does not mean that's not the end all be all, right? And so just because somebody's struggling with that
I do think, and this is something that I don't think it's talked about enough, is I think once co-op releases, and assuming enough people go back to it, the true strength of this more open campaign style really isn't co-op, in my opinion. There's giant areas, a bunch of different ways to approach objectives, multiple objectives in general. The achievements came out, for example, for co-op. There's one where it's like, kill all 4 silos at the exact same time. Stuff like that. There's so much strength there that they couldn't tap into at launch because co-op just wasn't ready, right? And I'm assuming for any future content releases, co-op will be there, But more importantly, I'm just hoping, just really hoping that at this point and in the coming months and maybe the coming years, they've gotten Slipspace to a point where they no longer need to fight with it as much to do what they need to do. I mean, we heard before that one of the main reasons for Slipspace was to, content at a quicker pace, right? This is what they said. And I feel like what will really be representative of that is if they can actually nail down seasonality. They said the seasonality they plan on starting March next year, right? In fact, we already know that one battle pass or that one season is 16 weeks, right? If they can say March or November, blah, 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 if for the next 2 years they can actually nail 3-4 month seasons, then I don't see them moving away from that engine anytime soon. Not when they've gotten control of it.
So I think some of what you're saying is possible. And I want to read this thing by Britt because I don't want to ignore this. I think this is something that needs to be addressed, but I think there's some additional light we can add to it. So he said the Reddit post from an Unreal Engine developer is on point and is accurate with the cache thrashing and being single threaded and CPU bound. So yeah, there's going to be challenges with every engine. Like every engine is going to have things that it's going to be better at and things that it's not going to be as good at. And for people, I think a lot of times we look at the tech demos and we're like, oh, could you imagine, Halo and that? But you're not factoring in the physics. You're not factoring all the other calculations that happen in this sandbox with all these, overlapping variables, right? So there's a lot of things. Now, all that stuff could be moved into there, right? Like I mentioned earlier, they could go in there. They could put the Havoc plugin, use that for physics. They can go and rewrite some of the animations and how some of the other aspects work. When it comes to the efficiencies, though, like, so I hear what Britt's saying, and I hear what, something what that developer on Reddit was saying with, like, well, hey, all things being equal, you're going to be able to do what Halo's trying to do better in Slipspace than you could in Unreal. Like, if you had equal amount of talent and time. Here's the thing, though. That is not ever the case. Nope. Talent and time is not something that's like exists in some sort of like even vacuum. And the truth of the matter is there's just way more, a much larger talent pool with Unreal developers, because if you're getting into AAA development these days, you're learning Unreal, right? Yeah. Especially if you're a contractor, right? Yeah. And so my gut feeling, and this is a speculation at this point, I throw into my own, I do feel like certain affinity with their staff of Unreal developers who have experience. The studios had experience in both. They worked in Blam, they worked in Unreal, and I think that they've probably come to Microsoft and prototyped something. And I think the reason why there's like so much of this muddiness recently, where Jez is like, well, if they switched, maybe they did switch, but if they did, it's really, really, really recently.
We should really mention really quick that we did have a leave at 343, right, related to Slipspace. Technically, that might be related to this.
Yeah, right? The engine lead, or the lead engineer, architect, or something.
For Slipspace,
So I do think the thing I would say, and again, I'm not saying for sure it's happening. I'm not like really fighting with that, but I also don't want to like discount this possibility that Tatanka could be there, because I look at what Microsoft is doing. They're spending $80 billion on gaming companies in over 2 years, right? Like they're going like, okay, you guys, keep Call of Duty over there for a few years. We just want to build up our ecosystem. We want to get ready for the next paradigm. I think Microsoft right now, they're thinking like multiple steps ahead, and I think where they're thinking of Halo, where they're thinking of Halo is like, what is going to be the best for this game 10 years from now, right? Like when we're in, and I think that's how they're treating, and that to me is actually, and to me that's exciting. If that is what's happening, if they're willing to throw a couple years of, and I'm not going to say throw away, you learn and you take, they can still take the assets and move it over. It takes time, it takes talent, but they could do it, right?
What happens if Tatanka releases, it's on Slipspace, and it is extremely successful? It works. Right? Do they still consider moving to UE for the next Tatanka game, for Tatanka 2?
Well, I think that I needed to clarify that I don't necessarily think that just because I think that CA is prototyping stuff in UE, that is a Halo project, that they're prototyping in UE, that the next Halo game will absolutely be in UE. Right. I think it comes down to how efficiently they can develop for it. Yeah. Like Abe's been saying, like Britt said in the chat, no one is going to have in-house engine experience unless they've worked there before. And with Microsoft still basically only hiring contract workers to work on this stuff right now, unfortunately, it's difficult to put a consistent team together to build up that experience.
So they're still hiring permanent workers. No, just not as much.
They've completely unlisted all of the permanent workspace, or all of the permanent work positions for
that was the hiring freeze
most of
Microsoft
their studios.
Had. Right, they had a studio. Every studio did. Amazon did. Across the tech sector.
And that probably has something to do with like end of fiscal year stuff. But I think if Tatanka releases, it is a Slipspace engine game or mode. It is super successful. I think that it could still do the thing that like Warzone 2 is doing, which is moving engines.
But it's an iterative change though for Warzone 2, isn't it? It's from Infinity Ward's other engine. It's a completely different engine.
Well, yeah, like Warzone was built on a completely different engine than like Modern Warfare's campaign and multiplayer were. They're now moving Warzone over to be on that engine because more of their developers understand.
The 2019 Infinity Ward's Modern Warfare engine, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool.
That's been upgraded like any engine would for its sequel.
Yeah. And when we say engines being upgraded, we mean like tool sets are made and things
like
Tech that is fixed.
iterative improvements. Tech
like just
debt
fine
has been
tuned for your
forgiven.
exact needs, right? Like Munity, for example.
And that's the thing is like Tatanka can come out and like absolutely crush and be a Slipspace thing, but if like CA has put in the man hours, and if 343 has put in the man hours to really make UE a real possibility, then I think at that point it's almost a coin flip. I think that if they're more comfortable with progressing with Slipspace, because it's not like this is a new problem or a new theory, right? Like Halo has considered switching engines since Halo 2, and did change a lot of stuff for Halo 2. It's one of those things that like if 343 just wants to go ahead and stick with this, because like we know at the end of the day, like it's kind of difficult to work in, but it preserves what we feel like is important for Halo's technical capabilities, then like, then we'll just continue with that. If a team of prototypers are spending a good amount of time between CA and 343, even like working on something together to be like, okay, light bulb moment, like we figured it out. This is how this works, and this is how it feels as close to Halo as anything possibly can. Then maybe they'll go with that. Unfortunately, right now we are all just in that speculation stage.
No one really knows anything, right?
No, and this, we're trying to like make sense, like what seems like it's even feasible or realistic. And I would say like all of those options are on the table, and that could even be where they're at, why this thing is so cloudy right now, because we know they tried it before and they went away from it. They might be trying it this time and thinking they're going to go towards it. But the thing you have to remember too, we're talking about basically from a developer standpoint, it is like an interface, right? Like these things could coexist together. You could probably build a launcher that launches you out into a UA made battle royale, Tatanka, from the Infinite.
I mean, it's literally the same thing that you're talking about that Call of Duty has been doing with Warzone.
Right. Like you can set progression across the board, right? You can have a progression, and this kind of goes back to like, before I try to chase 5 squirrels at once, I know, but what I was trying to build up to is like if you can bring in more people and you rise the tide, it can raise all the boats, right? You can build a progression across the board. Maybe the people are more likely to try out the competitive because they really love the battle royale, the free battle royale, get them hooked into the Halo universe. Now you're bringing all these on-ramps for people to get exposed to Halo, and maybe they try out some other things. And that's why, when I hear the community go, oh, you're going to split the base and Halo's, 343, you don't understand us Halo fans. You don't care about us. It's like they're trying to make this game be a game that's worth a AAA investment, right? Like when you have hundreds and hundreds of people in these long development cycles, you have to grow, because the base of people.
What else will grow?
Yeah,
if they have a couple engines, is the install size.
Okay,
that is one of the worst things that happened with Call of Duty because of the different engines and not being able to share assets and stuff like the campaign and multiplayer are now. I would worry if they split it up too much, and then you're hitting 100, and then you're hitting 150, and then you're like, Jesus Christ! Every time I want to play Marvel's Avengers, because I actually quite like that game. I enjoy playing it. Once characters are leveled up, they're fun, and the campaign's
much bigger.
It's
SSDs.
like 215 gigabytes now. It's insane how big it is.
Holy crap.
Jesse, hopefully by the time all this stuff comes out, they'll have much bigger SSD options, But we're talking down the road.
They I feel like anyone saying that, they're gonna split the base hasn't been looking at the current player numbers, where there is a dedicated player base for Halo that is playing the core game, right? Them adding a VR mode isn't gonna take those players away. These guys won't play Halo and they love Halo, but it is, and they play it, right? Like, I don't know who the heck is keeping this game still in the top 20 of most play. I'll be honest, there hasn't been an update in like 3 months. Man.
Do we have any idea, like realistically, what even just an estimation as far as like where Halo sits in Xbox? Like, how many people are playing the game on console right now?
14 million a day. I don't know how.
So a while back, Destiny released, I think Ybarra talked about Destiny's numbers and its position, and you can kind of infer a little bit based on where it was in that week that he talked about it. I think it was at like position 9, and he mentioned like 100, 200K, something like that. I don't know the exact numbers. You have to look it up. But that's your best bet to infer this information.
And to your point, Austin, Halo does. This is
Because
I
like
kind
if we're being realistic, Steam's sitting anywhere between 4 and 5, which I know is like not a significant portion of Halo Infinite's player population.
right.
Are we thinking 40,000 people consistently play this game every day?
I think a lot more than that. I think a lot more.
You think a
40K.
lot more than that?
Look at it
Top
this way.
20.
So the way I look at it is it's plays more people playing than Cyberpunk, than VC, than Elden Ring, than Vanguard, than The Show, than Skyrim. You know what I mean? That's how I look at it in that way. And Xbox has a player pool of what, 60 million people? Technically around there.
I don't know. Is they
Right?
active though? I mean, I don't know. Like
Active player
I
pool
don't-
probably like 40 or 35.
Yeah.
right?
So the
All right,
bottom
so there's
line
the
is,
thing with this generation. Whatever numbers you guys hear on the internet, just
Yeah.
well, I mean, yeah. So
Also, keep in mind the way this list works isn't by number of people opening the game. It's by playtime, right? AJ's talked about this a little bit, where it's like just because Halo's at a certain point in there doesn't mean there's that many
Right.
people opening the game. It could be that you have longer play sessions in something like Roblox or Apex rather than the 15, 10-minute matches you play in a COD. Like, for example, in this right here, Cold War is sitting just a little bit ahead of Halo, which is, I mean, technically, yeah, it's a COD game that came out almost a whole year ago, blah, blah, blah. And I'm sure Modern Warfare 2 will jump up that
not
list.
2 years ago.
Is it 2 years?
Vanguard. was
Yeah.
like-
Cold War overtook Vanguard.
Call of Duty is just ridiculous.
Vanguard's not even on here.
They
But the
go
way I
on.
look at it,
They go a little on sale, and people finally jump in. So yeah.
you know, we talk
Yeah.
about the really
well,
good
like
numbers.
Call of
State
Duty community hated Vanguard pretty universally.
You know, we talk about like State of Decay 2 hits like 10 million, 50 million, Grounded hit 10 million, Sea of Thieves hit 30 million. All of those games are consistently underneath this. Consistently. They are never that high.
Well, total
I think-
players, like if you
Yeah.
want to talk about total players, like Steam reports anywhere from 20 to 80 million people
I'm on
downloaded Halo Infinite
on
on
that's for
Steam,
sure. Yeah.
and like
Mhm.
that's probably realistic, but like it's not like that many
That's a
people
lot.
are playing
What the
it.
hell?
yeah. So what
Pretty
I'll
plain, man.
say. What I'll say about that is I think that Halo does have a higher floor than a lot of games. Like their arena, like the people that play arena from game to game to game. There's nothing else right now, especially on consoles. There's nothing else that really mimics the
Doom
feel of Halo.
2016.
Yeah, no, none of them match like the skill gap, the hip fire,
The sandbox.
I'll go-
strafing, time to kill, the
There we go.
sandbox. You know,
I'll go higher with my estimate just to be a little bit more liberal with it. I'd say I'm pushing 70,000. 70,000 at most play this game every day.
But either way, so we'd say there's a floor, but there's still this ceiling that I don't think this game can ever. Like this game is not going to touch the Fortnite people. That's a different.
It did for a
that-
month, right? I mean, with
Yeah,
the campaign,
for-
technically.
yeah,
But for
it's
a month,
it
it
was
was
a
sitting at
brand new-
number 2.
brand new, highly hyped. But I'm saying like long term, like holding
Yes,
on to that
I agree.
base.
You know what's going
I
to be
agree.
funny? There's going to be no bump for co-op because they know, and the reason they push it off is because the people who actually end up playing Halo co-op are not that many.
No, they're not.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's not going to be a big bump. So, but anyways, yeah. So I think they're going to look to expand it. That's just my opinion. I think anybody else, like, is there anything you guys missed in terms of like predictions or?
I fully
um,
agree. There's no way they're going to get a consistent top 5 without something like a BR. It's just the nature, the landscape of gaming
Yeah,
as
it
it
is.
is today. And it doesn't necessarily mean that there's less players playing it than there were in the past. I mean, we know more people are playing today, period, compared to the
Well,
past.
it's the idea, like the whole thing is free to play minus the campaign unless you have Game
Yeah.
Pass, blah blah blah. The idea that you release a free to play BR with it means that you get people that would never play a BR that are like,
Yep.
"Hey, I love Halo. I'll check out the Halo BR." And then you have
Right.
people that are like Fortnite or Call of Duty kids that are like, "Oh, you know, I have heard of
Exactly.
Halo or I have played Halo.
Exactly.
Now it has a BR. Hell yeah, let's check that out." Like you'll always have that like cross contamination. I guess.
Twitch streamers playing. I want to play Halo.
Right. Like
I do think, though, if they can nail seasonality down, if they can do 16 weeks and maps coming out and they fix, okay, here's, I guess, the main thing. They fix the underlying issues with
16
the game.
weeks.
4 months, but they fix the underlying
3
issues with the
months.
game.
They should be 3 months.
Yeah, fair enough. But either way, they fix the underlying issues with the game. I do think Halo, even as it is right now, even the core experience of social, a big team battle, and arena competitive, can maintain a top 10. That's my personal opinion. I guess we'll see when the November update comes how much
Totally.
it jumps up.
And I do
But-
think for the average player that also, if it is 4 months, it never expires. That ends
Yes.
up being pretty big. It's not like you just need for most people, I'm sure there'll be plenty that hit 100 within a month. But
Not
for
gonna
a
lie,
lot of people, you just end up building up multiple battle passes that you can go back to once you finish the one you're on.
It kind of pisses me off that other games haven't adopted this yet. I'll be honest. I look at new games coming with their battle passes. I'm like, yeah, but they're still FOMO based. Are you serious right now? Like, come on. Like, we should
Yeah,
have
that's
moved
what's kind
past
of
this
annoying
by
me
now.
about Overwatch. Is like,
Exactly.
oh, I miss out on the battle
Exactly.
But you know, I don't think like I and I'm not trying to like.
I agree, Abe. You
undersell-
don't think.
Yeah, no, I don't. But anyways, it does. It has a lot more potential, especially with Forge. And I think there's a possibility. And I mentioned this in the last show, and probably will keep mentioning it. There is still this possibility that we don't even know what the potential of that is. If they know how to support it right, if they can integrate it the right way. There is still some in this day and age with the Roblox and the Minecrafts and the Fortnite creative modes and all this other stuff. There's still a possibility that that can build up its own community over time, right? Something like Halo can build up multiple communities that all kind of merge together. I do think one last thing I would say about the Unreal though, and this was one last piece of feedback, why I could see them keeping this Infinite in Slipspace and then still bring it Unreal to try different things. For prototyping and just experimenting, Unreal does help them get there faster, especially with the contractors. So like if they're trying to like just try out different modes, retry them out, they can actually iterate and create faster in that. So I do think that there could be two lanes for a little bit, and then we'll just have to see where they go. Maybe at this point, they don't even know where that 10-year road actually, what that looks like. They might just roll these out together, and it's like, let's see what Forge and Infinite, Forge and Arena does, and let's see what the BR does and what the campaign does. And I think, there's infinite possibilities really in terms of where this can go.
God, I'm going to mute your mic.
Endless possibilities. Sorry.
Oh,
that doesn't work either.
Unreal possibilities.
Numerous.
I read the specific wording around the whole 10-year thing again recently, and it was just like starting the next 10 years of Halo. Like that's what
I mean, it wasn't
like Halo Infinite's gonna be 10 years long. Of course it's not.
Yeah.
Even I don't think it's gonna be that long.
I feel like I've said that on this podcast like 12 fucking times.
I agree.
Yes.
And like every single time I get so tilted every time I see a new article about Halo, and they're like, well, Halo Infinite is supposed to be 10 years. I'm just
God.
fucked.
It's like people still claiming the article where it's like, did you know that the showrunners specifically made sure no one played the game when they worked on the show?
Yeah, did you know that Kiki Wolfkill personally kicked everyone in the dick on the set of that show? It's like, what are you talking about, man?
Oh my God.
A lot of speculation, a lot of fun with it, but you're right. End of the day, I mean, who knows what's gonna happen, right?
All right. So questions. Do we got community questions ready to go?
What the fuck?
We do.
136, 33.
Who's ready to read those?
Are you Soul? You need me to.
Quickly working on the timestamp.
You.
Go ahead. Actually, wait. Though you can read the first one. I gotta find these.
Oh, the first one's so long. Okay, I'll read it.
Nice.
Yeah. Baboosh. It's also not going to be that big for people on screen. Sorry. From good old Collingwood, reposting Owl Theory's question, which was either before, like the podcast before, I think, I forget. Owl Theory question I haven't really seen. Could Microsoft it should have been Moneysoft, the money sign. Microsoft /343 pay Forge creators based on downloads and plays, same way YouTube or TikTok or Spotify do. TikTok doesn't pay shit. Don't ever believe that. They pay nobody anything. Sick talked about his map taking 70 to 100 hours. We'll always have dedicated hobbyists. The community will be healthy. But what are the implications, good or bad, of 343 actually assigning value to making this kind of content? Some maps get downloaded millions of times and played for years, arguably may keep the game alive for $1 trillion company. Pros, draws in creators, generates higher quality content, probably healthy for the game in the long run. People get compensated for their effort. Mixed, might shift in-house production to community content. Opens new debates about labor value, kids, etc. Cons, tricky to figure out payment for collaborations. Featured maps could be gamed by influencers. Not expecting anything, but curious about the conversations. My feeling is that it would ultimately be a good thing for Halo and the creators. Actually, make financial sense for 343, but the complexity of working it out will keep it from ever happening. Did they do the Creators Club for like Bethesda games? People figured this out before. Oh, I got to put questions above.
Yeah.
There we go. Boom.
But like, I feel like I could be very wrong. It's been a while since I've downloaded anything off of the Creators Club, like 2015, 2016. But like, do they charge players for some of these mods? They do, right?
Yeah, they were part. That's actually a big part, a chunk of what you get if you buy the anniversary edition. You get 500 Creators Clubs mods.
Like that's. Here's the thing: unless you want ads in Halo or want to have to start to pay for Forge maps, it's not going to happen.
Wait, say that again.
I think it'd be super cool. What would you say, Saul?
Say that again. Sorry.
I said
you would have to start paying
Halo,
for,
or if you want to pay per download for Forge maps, like it's not feasible. I think it'd be cool if people like Sick, who spend 70 to 100 hours working on a single Forge map, could profit off of the insane work and like extreme, like very obvious talent that he has in that space. I think that'd be awesome. But unfortunately, I don't think that there's any sort of realistic way to make that happen.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be charging customers. I think it would be people who want to make stuff in Forge can buy prefabs from other Forge makers. Might be the only way that would really work. Yeah. And having a whole regimented system to make sure people aren't stealing other people's work and trying to resell it. Because when John, oh, never mind, can't say that. So there may be a system. I don't know. No one's ever told me. But like, what if you download something from someone and it's always tagged as that person's creation?
They've publicly talked about that, Jesse.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So,
but yeah,
they have things. They have things in the work. You know, they have things. They have ways to know you didn't create this base thing. You can't sell it. So if they had, I've worked 200 hours on this prefab layout of all these different things, and you can buy them as a pack for $10. Like that type of stuff. I think that was the only way it could work.
Almost like engine assets, right?
So what about this?
Like the UE
like
store,
the Unreal store. Yeah.
Boom.
Oh man.
So
this is, I just thought about this as we're like talking, and I don't know if it's even feasible, but you know, if they get to a point in the future where, you know, it's basically the Forge community building stuff for Infinite because they move everybody over after a certain point, just like you know, Austin, you theorize, and I think that's not a terrible theory, right? Especially if these maps can be high quality. What if they start to take a portion of whatever's part of these battle passes, or the cosmetics, like it could be a smaller percentage, and divide that up between Forge creators based off of engagement. Is that something that could work? I mean, you think about it, it kind of works like the like a Spotify or something, like, you know, based on the amount of plays you get a percentage.
Billionth of a penny.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, yeah, it might not be a lot, but it might be something that if somebody does break through and gets let's say you have a map that gets a lot of playtime
for 14 million downloads.
I mean, it's like the financial compensation version of what Dreams does, where like if something is super popular in Dreams, then it's brought to the forefront, more people see it.
Yeah.
I think it's a tricky, slippery slope. I think it's an interesting thing to think about because, again, I do think that the people that arguably sometimes make better maps than the developers make.
No, for sure.
Deserve to be compensated for it. Unfortunately, I just don't think that there's any feasible way for that to happen.
The way they compensate them is if you look at the people who make Forge, and they all get jobs.
Straight up, right?
Yeah, they brought in right now a lot of people.
Yeah.
Well, you know, Austin, I do feel like there is probably a huge portion of the Halo community that would just, you know, set everything on fire, and well, they do that every week anyways, right? But you know, like that's like I could see the backlash if they try to include any monetization into the Forge. But here's the thing, like as somebody that does want to see Infinite, like this sandbox, this gameplay loop, this arena that wants to in this Forge, who wants to see this thing continue to be strong, even as they do all this stuff in Unreal, even as Tatanka comes out, even if it's the big thing, right? Who wants to see this success, I think they need to figure out a monetization that allows these really, really talented people to say that, just like with Roblox, right? Roblox, Minecraft, these guys make lots of money, and maybe
they get paid with exposure. It's like Jesse said, like they get jobs at studios. Like this is actually a gross thing. The whole like, I'll pay you with exposure, bro.
Well, I don't know how they get paid.
But like, you know, unfortunately, this is a hobby for anyone that is a forger, and if they want anything more out of it, then a lot of people turn around that are forgers in the community that get jobs at 343 or get jobs at Bethesda, get jobs at any studio.
Yeah. Especially with the tools you have now in this, I'm sure you could be like, yeah, I know all these stuff. Like heat maps, I got it.
Yeah, absolutely. Like if there's the potential for somebody to earn a job working on multiplayer levels at 343, based on their Forge experience, it's going to be Infinite's Forge. Like the again, like with how similar it is in like basically raw input. The only thing you're not using is freaking Gorilla or whatever 343 is using these days to call API stuff. Like you're basically just working in the game engine anyway, like we've said on this episode of the show.
Quick take of it is there's zero chance that individual Forge maps will be monetized. Not in a free-to-play system. You know what I mean?
agree with you there. Yeah.
If it was like back in the day where you bought the game and then maybe they could release like a Forge map pack where like, hey, these are 10 high-quality Forge maps. We're going to put them together, ship them together, and split the revenue, right? Yeah. What I could see and what I'd hope to see is something like, say a Forge map releases and it's so good or really good that 343 wants to put it inside an official Forge rotation, right? In a situation like that, I feel like the Forgers deserve some kind of recomps. What's the term again?
I agree. I know
they get paid for the work. Whatever the stupid term is. Some kind of
compensation.
There we go. Some kind of compensation for that, because at that point your map is literally being used officially for people who are playing the game and buying things off the shop and buying battle passes and all that stuff. You know what I mean? At the same time, does that mean they want to limit it to them? God damn it. I live like 3
motorcycle in your room?
Neighborhood, bro. Wow. Like 3 streets in a deep neighborhood. What the? Anyway. What I'm saying is, at that point, I could see like that avenue of monetization, but there's no way they can do individual Forge maps. Not for PvP. You know.
Hopefully they figure out something for them though, you know, and maybe it's just they just get Patreon. Maybe these guys that blow up just have their own Patreon.
There's never been a monetization of Forge previously.
No,
I don't think so. No,
nothing at all.
Nothing.
No. So the other thing
if only some websites had ways to try and promote creators of Forge. I don't know. Take a look and see what ends up happening in November.
Yeah. Come back to XboxEra. All right, let's go to the next question. A good question, yes, but I don't think we really.
I have the next one loaded up. It's not a question, but I just wanted to read it because it's cool. Anorexic, not a question. I finally finished the podcast yesterday. This is last week's, the previous episodes, and it was fantastic. I was listening while cleaning / detailing the car, and I didn't want it to end. It was that good. We call that the John effect.
You know, like 2 or 3 episodes ago, Forging a New Path, that one hits like 3,300 views. I don't know why. It just keeps getting people to watch it. Thank you.
Is that the one with John?
Appreciate you guys coming through.
Oh, interesting.
For a little podcast.
That's awesome. I will have timestamp stuff for this one right away, though I did miss that last one. Okay.
You'll still get a comment saying, "Where are the timestamps?"
Yeah. Well,
seriously.
The problem is I chase like 10 squirrels per every like 10 minutes, and it's really hard.
Well, mine are pretty general timestamps. Right. The next question is, I just clicked the random button.
Good old Collingwood.
It's about Halo 3. Yes. Good old Collingwood. Hello, Halo followers. We are not Halo follower. We are XboxEra. Halo 3's birthday.
Fucking got him.
Best of the lot, or sadly lacking. Good old Collingwood. I feel like we did discuss this a bit with the show team match. I feel like all of us would have wanted more if possible. From the 15th year, right? Anniversary.
Wait, what's the question?
I did. Yeah. So I don't.
Sorry, he's just saying Halo 3's birthday, best of the lot, or sadly lacking. I'm assuming he means
go further down. He's got an actual question.
Oh, what?
Okay,
really?
yeah, that's what I'm reading right now.
He said, "Ignore this one, suck a bitch."
Forget my question from before about Halo 3's birthday. Okay, here's another question about Forge. Do you see Forge creations being reliant on the Halo platform? For example, Forge creations can only be played by launching Halo Infinite. Or can you see them becoming non-platform dependent so they can be played independently?
Non-platform dependent is the future. There are already developers that have taken Halo Reach's Forge and found a way to make maps in Blender, port those into Halo, and I hate to say it just works, but it just works. There is a team that just this week finished prototyping the exact same thing for Halo Infinite. Now that is not necessarily the same thing that that he is saying, but if you can do it one way, I can't imagine that it's impossible to find a way to
Talking about the
do it
Blender
the other
import,
way.
they did.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So I imagine a thing that we were talking about earlier was like, you know, Infinite's Forge has had all of this work put into it, and now that it's finally coming, are they really going to move to a new game engine, work on a sequel immediately, blah blah blah. I think the idea being that we can take maps that are made in Halo Infinite's Forge and then just I'm
Export
using
them?
very simplistic language here, but export a Halo Infinite Forge map and put it into any Halo game. Obviously, art would be different, stuff like that. But like, if they're already changing things so that you can shape geometry to be whatever shape you want it to be, if you can resize items, if you can reskin things, then like, yeah, you port something in from Infinite into say Halo Reach, and like shit looks funny, but like
But the blocking would be there, right?
but the blocking would be there. You just have to re-art it
Interesting.
out, which is like what John has been doing with his
Yeah.
map.
So are you saying that you could take this and move it into Unreal? map?
That's the idea if it's possible. Unfortunately, it's the other way around right now. So you'd make something in Blender or in Unreal and
Yeah.
port that into Infinite and just call its
Right.
assets, so that when the map loads in Infinite, it's like, oh, I know that this is supposed to be a UNSC crate B or whatever. And so that's what it is.
But you could probably build that logic though, right? So, because
That's what I'm thinking.
This has been one of, and not to reopen everything because we're going to go too late, but this has been one of the biggest wild cards or thing. This is the biggest obstacle when people start talking about this transition into the future. And we look at what's happening with this Forge, and we already realize what happens to these creative engines, games, right? If they ever take off, if they ever become something significant, will these people that have invested all this time to build things, will it be easy for them, or will there be a path for them to bring those into something else? If that's the case, without having to rebuild everything. Or the other solution is that maybe just Infinite is the Forge engine for, or Slipspace is going to, in perpetuity be the Forge thing, right? And live separately from whatever they do in Unreal. So those are the two different things. But I do think that if you could export creations and you can move them to somewhere else, that does now open up a lot of possibilities, right? For people that are going to invest their time and build Patreons, or maybe do something on a website called XboxEra for Forge, things like that, that could live on regardless of what happens, So.
I mean, we already know people that take models of the games and pop them in other things, right? So would it be possible to make a prefab in would it be possible to make a prefab in Halo Infinite and export the entire prefab? Like use Halo Infinite's tools to make these things, make them look cool, then export them, and then
I think it would depend on how the game views certain pieces of geometry. The idea of something being static is very important for its like portability.
Yeah.
But like people take more, like so many people in the Halo community alone rip like Spartan armor from Infinite's files and port it into Blender. And it's not one-to-one. You still have to play with it a little bit to get it to look right and to function the way that you would want it to function. But like, yeah, that's possible.
I'll be honest, when I first read the question,
that's how like whenever I play around with Halo Forge tools or Halo mod tools, like I'm modeling stuff in Blender and bringing it into Halo's tool sets.
Interesting. To be honest, when I first read the question, I thought he meant like, could you open up like a Forge map without opening up Halo Infinite, like, and still play it through Halo Infinite? Which, no, I mean it's still running on Halo Infinite if you're playing it on Infinite, right? But that's interesting in the more like creators perspective.
But I think there is a future that exists. Maybe not a very realistic one, but a future that exists where you can build a map in Infinite and then open it relatively painlessly in whatever the next game.
You don't need to open up Dreams specifically to play Dreams games all the time. They can take games.
I think you do.
Even for like the games they monetized?
I think so. I honestly don't know.
All right. Well, that's something to look into. We'll have to maybe do a little bit more legwork and research on the possibilities of that for our when we come back for our Forge show. I think we will. That could be something that we can come back with a few more answers or context to add.
Okay, next question is from Mort. Hello there. With all this engine talk lately, what game that you've played do you think suffered the most from the limitations of its engines? Hugs, Mort. Oh, that's a good question.
Destiny.
Soul Hackers 2. Oh.
Really? Destiny?
Yeah, no, Destiny 100%.
You mean the first game?
Yeah, Destiny 2 even.
Okay.
I think Bungie had incredibly grand plans for that game that, unfortunately, due to the limitations of their technology, they ultimately couldn't achieve certain things. Like I know I have a couple of friends that have worked at Bungie over the last 10 years that still do that. You know, early Destiny, especially Destiny 2, not so much, but like early Destiny, it used to be a 15-hour process to like move geometry in the game and then bake lighting and then go in and make sure that nothing broke. Like those kinds of problems. And like that's a carryover from like Halo 3, Halo Reach era, let alone Halo 1 and 2 era, blam. Like Destiny's lighting engine is so robust and so incredibly detailed that like, yeah, the technology got better as the lighting engine got better, but like it wasn't 1-to-1, right? Like, unfortunately, little stuff like that. I think that they wanted their worlds to be bigger. I will die not genuinely knowing what Joseph Staten's original mega cut for that story was. A lot of it has been sprinkled into. Well, we've seen
a lot of
pieces of it. Yeah, a lot of Rasputin. A lot of characters were kind of different. You know, the Kotaku article that came out years ago about like Destiny's trouble development kind of hit on some points in it. And the interesting thing is that we've gotten some of it kind of retroactively added back into Destiny as time's gone on. Certain like story points from that leak have made its way into the game, which has been cool and satisfying for longtime fans. But I think if there's a modern game, and especially a game that I've played way too much of, that I think would have benefited from a significantly more powerful engine, it would be Destiny 100%.
Yeah, I think the obvious one is Mass Effect Andromeda, right?
That game played great.
It just didn't look good.
No, the obvious one would have been
what they didn't have the time to actually motion capture and work on faces and everything. So they tried to automate it all, which did not work.
My obvious one would have been Anthem, in a similar vein, right? It did feel like Anthem was held back a little bit, not necessarily by its engine, maybe more by just dev time
the issue was
like
Frostbite just didn't have anything in it to make games like that. And EA mandated you've got to use this. Yeah. And so they're like, okay, we've literally got to completely build up this engine to work at all for this type of game, for Dragon Age, for Mass Effect Andromeda,
the answer is EA.
for Anthem. Yeah, so the answer was time on those. It was just stupid. They did not give them enough time.
Well, and that's like the interesting thing too is like when people like, and this includes myself, you know, I've kind of been learning a lot just because of Halo. I've been asking a lot of people about this engine stuff and learning more about it. You know, you start thinking about the capabilities. Sometimes what we think is a bad engine is really just a bad. It's got maybe a underdeveloped tool set for what they're trying to do. It's not necessarily always performance, right? It could just be they just don't have the tools, and that's really the situation that is, you know, without rehashing all that stuff again. That really is the biggest problem with Slipspace was the tool set and the fact that it was still a work in progress for most of the development. But you know, that's another story. But I think
the worst thing I've played. Oh, sorry. The worst thing I've played recently, and you wouldn't think it because it's a turn-based RPG, is Soul Hackers 2, which runs on Unity. Has horrendous performance on Series X. It should not. It has terrible performance on any console. I got like freaking 400 FPS on PC, and then I play on Xbox, and I have to make it look real ugly in performance mode to get mostly 60. Like Jesus Christ. And they don't normally use Unity. They normally have their own thing with like Persona. They save money, I guess, because this game had no budget. They went with Unity. They didn't spend much time or money on Unity, it felt like, and so what was there barely worked. Still okay game.
Okay. All right, last question.
So last question from Not Jack. If you could add one item/weapon to Infinite for Arena and BR, what would it be and why?
I like this question.
It's a great
lot,
question.
Actually.
Great question.
All right, who's going first?
I did have a little bit of time to think about it because I read it.
Okay.
But so item, I mean, it's got to be armor lock, right? Why? To screw the fan base over. But no.
Fuck off! I'll kill myself.
I'm
will- I
downvoting my
refuse to
show just in protest of that comment.
But no. All joking aside, honestly, it's a tough call. I really like the brute shot. I've always kind of been really impartial to this weapon, and I get the cinder shot kind of replacing
Partial, not impartial. You're
Partial,
very
but-
partial.
I'm imperialistic.
Impartial doesn't mean the same thing. Can't do it. Can't allow it.
I like the brute shot, but I'll be honest. I love the light rifle from Halo 4. Halo 5. Dude, I know a lot of people didn't like it, but just how well it played.
I like the light rifle too.
God.
It is a mid-range weapon. Yeah.
You
Austin-
motherfuckers!
Oh, is that
Well,
yours? No. There's no way. Yeah, that's my answer.
I want the Halo
Austin-
4 suppressor.
I need more time to think about it.
So my
Go ahead.
Abe's entire long answer. I was just thinking about this question.
yeah, no, like this one's easy for me. I missed the Halo 5 pistol. The 5-shot perfect kill mid-range.
The meta breaker.
And it's too broken.
I-
The entire sandbox
I
revolves around
love that. I love the feel of that damn weapon. I just want it in. I just
Well,
give
it's
it
not
to
too
me in
broken,
some.
so-
I
mode.
want to dual wield those little tiny brute shotguns. Give them back.
God, no, please. I mean, I love the Maulers. Don't get me wrong.
The Maulers.
In the arena, oh God, no way.
Oh, I got a good one. So, anyone that like really knows how I feel about Halo sandboxes tends to understand that I think as time went on and they got more and more complicated for no reason other than like, well, we need like a purple one, or we need like a gray one, or we need like a human one. I couldn't stand it. Like some of my least favorite weapons in the game are the light rifle, the DMR. Go fuck yourself. I'm so excited for the new DMR to not have a scope on it. Stoked about
Bandit?
it.
I'm actually really excited about that.
I'm
It should
excited to
fit
see how
really
it
well.
plays.
Yeah.
My answer, Halo Reach might be my least favorite Halo game,
Hmm.
but it has my favorite weapon in any Halo game,
Wait,
which is the needle rifle.
Yes. Okay.
That thing is so sleek and sexy, and it's so satisfying to pop heads or not pop heads and get the super combine with it. Oh my God, give me the Halo Reach needle rifle back. 343, the biggest atrocity you've ever committed is not bringing it forward. And don't talk to me about the like Blabosonion or whatever from Halo 5. It was a carbine. Give me the needle rifle back, please. You gave us the Reach AR. You're already dipping into those waters. Just pull out the needler while you're at it.
Pull stuff from the very great game that is Reach, and please avoid everything from the crash fire that is ODST. I agree.
I want silence
Hey,
weapons
what's
as
your
well
answer?
from
Jonathan,
ODST.
Did you give one?
Yeah, I said the Halo 5's pistol. I know. I'm
Oh,
boring.
yeah.
Yeah, he gave the worst one.
I mean, it's a good
boring.
weapon. Maybe it's too good.
I just love the precision mid-range.
Go into Forge,
hip
take the
fire.
pistol,
You could still
lower
go
it
across the
down a
map
little
with
bit,
that
and then
pistol.
just make it a 5-shot with Forge. And
Like I honestly,
Basically.
I would leave the power weapons for my teammates so I could just keep shooting people in the head with the pistol.
Jesse, did you say one?
Yeah.
Did you say
oh,
one?
I said a couple joke ones.
Yeah, what a real one. No, you said Mauler. I mean, that's not it's a good weapon.
You guys are trying to be all
Jesus Christ,
fancy.
I can't think.
Do you guys think
I can't
the
think of one.
hologram would work in Halo Infinite sandbox?
Which
No.
one?
Hologram?
The suppressor in Halo 4.
Yes. Yeah.
That thing was so stupid. Yeah, that thing was stupid. I loved it.
Hmm.
There's a lot
I
of things you can bring back.
I wiped
SMG,
Halo 4 from my memory.
The carbine.
Alright.
just
Why?
the-
It's a good car. It's
in
a good
general.
campaign. Great
Anyways,
books around
sorry,
it.
Yeah, I can talk about this forever.
All right, guys. I think.
Speaking
we
of
have-
books, we'll
Oh.
never read them.
Okay, man, give me a hard date, bro. I'll have it done. Just give me.
Nope. I
Actually, I
refuse.
said that to Abe recently. Abe, I
I
am
don't.
working
I
on-
don't
on
believe
the
you,
beat.
Soul.
I just got really sick. I couldn't sit up. Now I can.
I know you
will-
got to.
You can lie in bed and do this.
Yeah,
You
God,
got
it
to.
was-
You got to finish your multiplayer review.
To be honest, no. The issue is, it's not so much that I'm sick anymore. It's not like I think I pulled my back while coughing. So now when I
shit.
cough, it's like a sharp pain in like a certain part of.
Oh man, you might have herniated it. Be careful.
Oh, no,
Be
no, I don't
careful.
think it's that bad. And I've had this pain before. I
Okay.
think I pulled a muscle. It's just it happens,
Okay.
but it's just
my
God, it makes it annoying.
That's so good. Finish your multiplayer.
You didn't even. You guys have just been ignoring me all show. I could talk as much shit as I want to about you guys right now. Like everybody's just tuning
No,
in.
Abe, I've been laughing at your joke. It was a very good joke.
You know, I just realized
anyways.
that's now become an inside joke. of the
Almost a
podcast,
year now at
alongside-
this point.
Alongside
Yeah.
the
That's,
2,000 hours.
that's
of summer.
bad. That's bad programming though to do inside jokes. All right, guys, are we done? I think it's time for Austin to sign us out. So,
Yes.
Guys,
Austin, why don't you do that?
We talked a whole lot about Halo tonight, didn't we? What a fun time it's been. Abe, really quickly, my friend, if people wanted to find you online, I know that you host every other podcast on the internet. Where are you at right now? Where can people find you?
Yeah, just follow me on Twitter, and then I'll let you know if I'm on another podcast.
That's
Today I
at
was on-
Mother1, which is right next to his face.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Mother-
audio
MUTH.
listeners-
Yeah, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
MUTHA_ONE_ big nerd.
Yeah, no. But anyways,
Oh, hey, you agreed to it.
Yep. So yeah, today was I popped in on a Boom show for a little bit
Nice.
at,
Oh, really? I
around
didn't know
lunchtime. Yeah, we
How was
talked
it?
about the ABK.
Oh
you know.
God, It's really heavy. Really heavy.
That is
stuff.
most of
Not-
what we talked about when I was on there.
Yeah, it's
Never-ending topic.
it's every week. You know, like it's sometimes that's fun, but I am getting to the fatigue point of it. I am ready to just
At least
kinda shut
something
it
new
out.
happened. That was fun.
Yep.
Yeah, that was
I
you know it was fun. It's fun to make fun of Jim. you
Something
know, Jim-
actually newsworthy.
Jim's always a good time to talk about.
Jesse?
So
What are you working on right now, man? Where can people find you online?
Here, XboxEra.com, and then you go to our YouTube, which is right here. And also, I've been streaming a bunch. Mort's been there hanging out playing Red Dead while sitting in Overwatch queue over on our The Xbox Era Twitch channel.
Yeah, twitch.tv/the Xbox Era. Very cool, man. Hopefully an Overwatch 2 review from you soon, Jesse, if you can ever get into the
Not
game.
Not up to me.
Right.
But this month, you can expect PGA 2K23, NHL 13, Overwatch 2, and like 15 other goddamn things on this site. We'll be working on a lot.
Hell
We're working on a Plague Tale Requiem already. Keep an eye for that.
I
Scorn-
cannot wait for
too.
that.
Oh, and Scorn.
Oh man, Soulblazerz, good old
Yeah.
Aarsal. Let us
he's-
know what are you doing these days? Where can people catch you if they wanna like peek through their virtual hedges and
Well,
see what you're up to?
follow me on Twitter if you want to see me just respond to a whole bunch of console warring that people keep linking to me in other places. Otherwise, still Xbox Era. Just my voice has been shot these days. So I haven't been narrating anything recently, but I've still been editing some stuff, and I believe we should have our FIFA 23 review up soon, probably tomorrow or the day after. Keep looking out for that.
Yeah, we did your
Very
question, Owl Theory. He's in chat. If
Yeah,
you go
make
back
sure
a little
you
bit on this
check back
InstaVod, you
and-
can.
And yeah, Owl Theory, it was his first post in the forum. It's great to have you on the forum, man.
It was a great question too.
Yeah.
Guys, you know where you can find me. I'm everywhere. If you wanna go follow me, constantly tweet about. I've been doing more meme tweets here lately and haven't been getting a lot of love on them, and I don't appreciate that. So, if
And he
if
really
you-
is everywhere. I woke up and you were just in my bathroom. And I was like, what the
I'm
fuck?
telling you,
Shit.
man, it's a blessing and a curse, really. At AustinFordGames, just about anywhere you can find me, doing stuff for Xbox Era, trying to figure out some stuff. But yeah,
Can I find you on Truth Social?
No.
What the hell? What the hell, Jesse? What the fuck?
You
right,
said almost
guys.
anywhere.
Oh my God.
almost anywhere.
One last
Yeah,
plug.
that-
If you were interested in a little bit more Halo stuff, me and Austin had our
that was sarcasm, by
Tripod?
the way, people.
episode
In
a
case-
week
Yep.
ago
Very
talking
good.
about like playlist popularity, which we didn't get a chance to talk about. I really wanted to, but I realized we just ran long. Maybe next episode we'll talk about it because it really does tie into social versus competitive.
Yeah,
We just
Soul
didn't get a
and I have
chance to
been
tie
really
into it.
wanting to sit down and talk about social versus competitive and what
Yeah.
it means to be a Halo fan these days. But yeah, go check out the drop pod
Yep.
that Soul and I did. I thought it was a solid little 10-12 minute long video. Other than that, guys, thank you so much for listening to this week's episode of You Had Me at Halo. Definitely make sure to follow us here on YouTube. Go check us out on Twitch. Jesse streams basically every single day. Definitely putting out good content. And the last thing I want to make sure that we bring up is Jesse did sign us up for the Extra Life charity stream again this year. That is going to be on Saturday, November 5th. Jesse initially set us up for a $250 goal, but the absolutely incredible top from our forum crushed it instantaneously, guys. You guys are amazing. Make sure you go follow that. Go check that out. We'll have a link in the YouTube description. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Until next time, be safe, have fun. We love you. Go play some Halo or something, nerds.
Thanks for watching.